It's easy to think sometimes that we don't really matter and that our actions, especially our attempts to help and support other people in this world, don't count for very much, especially in the balance of all the pain and suffering and injustice that we witness around us. But I'm very happy to tell you, I want to share a rather mysterious tale with you today that suggests otherwise, that actually suggests that our smallest, simplest actions make a tremendous difference, that they're noted, that they count, and that they help. I love this. I'm also excited to share the circumstances through which this tale was collected and told, because they are deeply moving and, I believe, illuminating. So, folktale EAGERNESS, welcome, my friends. I am so happy that we are together. I love this time with you each week, and I so appreciate you. I just want to say thank you for spending this time with me and these amazing stories. It's a pleasure. If it happens to be your first time joining us, I want to say a special folktale, which means welcome. My name is Kate, and I'm a professor of Irish language and folklore. And I love sharing Irish tales and traditions with you because I really do think they make our lives better. So I want to tell you this story and then we'll talk it over. Once upon a time, there was a good man who was a steward for a rich man. He looked after all of the workers and all of the books and all of the business for this man. And he was a good and noble steward. How do we know that? Every Saturday, he made sure that the bell rang at noontime and that all the workers were dismissed early to start their Sunday. So Sunday started at noon. Everyone appreciated that so much. Well, after many years, this very good man was close to death, and he called in the rich man who was his employer, his master, and he said, I would just ask one favor of you. And the rich man, who was a good man himself, said, anything you wish. And he said, when I die, I would like my body to be put in a cart and let the horse take it anywhere it's going to go. Just don't direct the horse. Let it go where it's going to go. And so the rich man said, of course he would do that. And in due time, the good steward died, and his body was put into a cart, and there was a man to just be with the cart to see what would happen, and off they went. And it wandered. The horse had its own head and took its own way for quite a long time, for hours and hours and hours, until they came to a very strange road. On this road, there were spears sticking up right out of the road. But as the cart approached, they retracted, and so the cart was free to roll right over them. At last, the cart stopped at a little house, and some people came out of the house, and they carried in the body of the steward, and the cartman went in as well. And he said that after the long journey he'd been on, he was rather tired, and so he went to sleep. Well, when he woke up, he thanked the people for their hospitality, and he said, I'll be going home now to my friends and relations. And they said, well, you're welcome to go, but you won't find them there because you have been sleeping for 700 years. And sure enough, the cartman did retrace his steps, and he went back to where he used to live, and it was just bushes and fields. There was no town there at all to be found. And he knelt down and said a prayer, and in that moment he was taken right up into heaven on account of the goodness of the steward. And so that's how it was. What a story! What a story! I think rather a mysterious story. There's a lot in it. So let's talk it over. The first thing that I notice in this story is that the action that the steward takes to release the workers early so that they can begin celebrating the Sunday, can mark the Sabbath, that is a simple action. That is what you might even say a small action. But look at the consequences of that action. Look how it affected so many people, how it gave them more time with their families, how it gave them a chance to see to the things that they needed to see to, especially before the Sunday going to Mass. He was not the rich man, but he was able to do this for people. And that's what really moves me about that, is he took an action that he could take. He was good in the sphere in which he existed. And that I think we all can do. If we have any position of authority in any small way, I will say this as a teacher, I see my responsibility of helping my students. I think we can be inspired by this steward to do something good where we are and to know that it matters. And does it matter? Well, certainly it does. The tale is quite interesting. I think what we're seeing in that road that has the spears on it is an idea that I don't think that road would have opened up and the spears kind of retracted if for someone who wasn't a good man or a good woman, a good person. I think those spears retracted to say, you've earned this. You're coming to this special place, a place of rest, and a place where there's a kind of universal recognition of the goodness of this man, that this goodness is still having an effect even after he has died. It has changed the world in some way. And I know that's true. I know you know that's true. The goodness of other people that we have witnessed has indeed changed the world and opened up the roads in a way for us and for others. Finally, I'll say this. The good actions always ripple outward. I think it's wonderful that the cartman, the man who trusted the horse to just take its way, is also saved. He also goes to heaven on account of the steward's goodness. He spent time in the company of goodness. And even after the steward's death, that goodness is still there. And so it's still affecting other people. It's affecting the world. I find that really a powerful message. And even more so now, I want to tell you about how this tale came to be. So Lady Augusta Gregory, who is one of my real heroes of folklore, collected this story in a workhouse in County Galway in 1902. I want to just read you a few sentences, because they're marvelous, honestly, of what she had to say about visiting that workhouse. Now, she had gone, I'll just say, she had gone to the workhouse hoping to meet people who could tell her tales of the great hero Finn McCool. And she didn't get that, really, as she had hoped. This is what she said. I began to listen, half interested and half impatient, for I had never cared much for this particular kind of tale. But as I listened, I was moved by the strange contrast between the poverty of the tellers and the splendors of their tales. These men who had failed in life, now again, they were in a workhouse, a poorhouse, and were old and withered or sickly or crippled, had not had dreams of good houses and fields and sheep and cattle, for they had never possessed enough to think of the possession of more as a possibility. It seemed as if their lives had been so poor and rigid in circumstance that they did not fix their minds, as more prosperous people might do, on thoughts of customary pleasure. The stories that they love are of quite visionary things, of swans that turn into kings' daughters, and of castles with crowns over the doors, and lovers' flights on the backs of eagles, and music-loving water witches, and journeys to the other world, and sleeps that last for 700 years. I think it has always been to such poor people with little wealth or comfort to keep their thoughts bound to the things about them, that dreams and visions have been given. I just love that so much that she went to a workhouse looking for one kind of tale, and she kind of curbed her own impatience or resistance to what was there and received, honestly, treasures. So that's a bonus, I think, for all of us, especially for me. I want to open my ears, open my heart, receive what is there. It might not be what I think is there, but it will be something. There will be something. Now, again, remembering that this tale of the good steward, I almost could cry, honestly, that it was told by a man in a workhouse who had doubtless had someone overseeing his labor through his life, to whom that extra time on the Saturday would have mattered deeply. That moves my heart. Isn't that amazing? And it really doubly proves what I wanted us to talk about today, which is that if we do the goodness that we can do where we are, when we are, with whom we are, the people who are around us, we will have done something very, very good indeed. I hope that encourages you. It encourages me. It also moves me to remember the differences in people's lives and to be very just receptive and respectful of them. And I think there's a kind of gentleness in what she shares and how she is moved and how she let herself be moved. Again, there's goodness all around. There's goodness in the tale, there's goodness in the teller, and there's goodness in Lady Gregory. And I will say, my friends, there's goodness in you. I love that story. I'd love to ask you as a question, have you ever witnessed an act of goodness that rippled far outward for a long time? If so, please share it in the comments. We would love to hear it. Let's inspire each other. It really matters. You know, it's easy to look at the world and the news and all of that and become downhearted and feel that these things don't matter. But let's remember this story. Let's remember Lady Gregory. Let's remember this man telling it. Let's remember the good steward. So thank you for being with me. And again, as always, I'd be so grateful if you'd like this video. It really helps me. If you haven't subscribed, it's free, and we would love to have you. Please do subscribe. You just sort of join our community, and we're in touch, and I love that. Now, before I say goodbye today, I want to just share one thing with you, and something I'm celebrating, and it's this. My new book will be out and available next week. This is a proof copy. Your copy won't have this. This is how I was able to check over the book and be sure that it was in good shape. It's called The Poet on the Train. I'll probably write you a note about it to everyone in our community. It will be out on the 24th of November on Amazon. And all I'll say really is that it's really quite a gentle and joyful story about a poet who gets a job on a cross-country train journey from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon. And there's a gentle mystery in it. There's a lot of good people. And there is a tin of everlasting chocolate chip cookies. And I will say one last thing. I have included my own chocolate chip cookie recipe in the book because I have made literally probably now thousands of cookies for my students over the years. So I'm a believer in chocolate chip cookies, and I would love for you to have that recipe. So thank you so much, my friends. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the goodness that you share in the world. It really does matter. You really do matter, and you matter to me. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.